Welcome everyone to WCU Entertainment Review. I am still your host Jimmy, and Dylan is not here, which means he does not matter. Unlike my other co-host, Erica, who shows up. I don't care if you're sick, Dylan. If you're watching this, shame on you. Anyway, how are you, Erica?
I'm very well. Yeah, Dylan's sick, but he might not make any more appearances.
For shame. Anyway, we're going to move over to the games and send it to us over there at the green screen. And we're here at the green screen, which we coined last week. Dylan, you've gotten much prettier.
Thanks, I really tried this time. This is my first time in this new studio. I'm pretty excited about it.
Or the green screen, that's what we call it here, okay?
Apologize.
Don't ruin our thing. But what we're going to talk about this week is SimCity and Maxis. Maxis was a studio that created SimCity back in the 1980s, and Maxis actually got closed this week by EA. It's a subsidiary. And what happened basically was, about 2 years ago, SimCity got launched. And it was supposed to be this huge game, and the trailer's playing behind us, and it was supposed to be this big, big game. Yeah, it was going to have all these new features, and then it got launched. And let me ask you something. If you paid 80 to 60 bucks for a game and it didn't work, how would you react?
Really upset about it because I don't play video games in general, so if I spent that much money on something like The Sims and it didn't work, I'd return it.
True. And that's the problem with this game, that basically it took 3 weeks for it to actually be an active game. And what happened was basically they made it a game that you had to be online all the time. So if you didn't have an internet connection, the game didn't work. And then the servers got overloaded by the amount of people wanting to play the game, and basically it created a PR nightmare. And this is for EA, a company that's been voted the worst company in America, not just video game company, but company, multiple times in the last couple of years, and it's basically created a giant disaster. And Maxis being closed is kind of a weird thing. I mean, they kind of rebranded just 2 years ago, and these rebrandings and these games like The Sims, they're always going to be probably re-released in some sort of way. EA is going to keep the Sim brand, but the days of SimCity and The Sims are basically over through Maxis, which, it's kind of sad because it's been a company that's been around for about almost 20 years now.
I mean, I know I don't play video games a lot, and The Sims is something that I played, and I feel like it did have a cult following. I mean, there was so many different versions of it. They had expansion packs. So if they did relaunch it and I guess make the idea of SimCity without all of the bugs and technical difficulties, I feel like people would play it. But like you said, like $60, $80, I don't think you would get anyone spending that much money on the game again.
And that's kind of the problem where they do have a lot of those expansions. And basically these gaming companies have done this a lot in the last 5 years, where they take these games and just spend so much time building these expansions. So you buy the game, then you have to pay another 10, 20, $5 for an expansion for the game you just bought, which becomes obnoxious. So, these companies like EA really need to work on these practices, because it took them so long to get this game actually working that, I'm sure they lost hundreds of millions of dollars just with people just fed up with the system and how they didn't react to it. But I think we're going to send it back to the desk with Jimmy and Erica. And Erica, that was interesting, talking about the games. But next we're going to talk about Netflix. And, Netflix is kind of evolving. So we're going to send it to TV and tell you why. Okay, guys, we're here at the TV panel. We're going to talk about actually Netflix. And Netflix, what they are doing this year is kind of adding more TV shows. They already had like Orange is the New Black and Marco Polo and a bunch of other shows. But what they're starting to do is actually they have a contract with Marvel, and they're going to have a bunch of Marvel TV shows. Daredevil, which is in April, Jessica Jones, I think it's called, Luke Cage, and some other show that's escaping my mind. And they're also doing this new show called Between. So Erica, why don't you kind of explain what Between is?
Well, not that we know that much about it, but Between is this new idea for Netflix. Usually what they'll do is when they produce a new season, they will put the entire season out for everyone to watch so you can binge watch it. But with Between, they're going more by a weekly basis. So every week they will have a new TV show out. Or sorry, not a new TV show, a new episode out.
Yeah, it's kind of going like the anti-binge, what people like to do. And Courtney, what do you kind of think of that development? Like, do you think it's a good thing or bad thing for Netflix?
I think it's good and bad. I mean, Netflix has really built itself on the whole binge watching concept. But then again, at the same time, I think by releasing an episode once a week, it makes people want more. It makes them want to come back if the show's good. I guess we won't know until it actually comes out.
True, and you also do have the thing they could do where, like, if you're really not that interested in watching the whole show as it comes out week by week, you could always just wait till it's all out and then watch it anyway.
Yeah,
But
tried it, doesn't work.
I just binge watched Game of Thrones, which we talked about last week, and it took me about 4 or 5 days, but I got through everything. And the thing is, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this, especially because it's kind of like the new show they're kind of doing. It has Jeanette McCurdy, who's from iCarly, TV show Nickelodeon, and like they're supposedly trying to do like the 21-year-old and over dying. So that'll be interesting to see. But they're very good at like having an expanded roster of shows. Orange is the New Black, and then you have the Marvel things, which is more action-based. Like all these shows are kind of going in different directions.
Netflix definitely knows that it has a very wide audience, so they're not catering just to one demographic. They definitely know that they have basically everyone wants to watch a Netflix show, so they know they have that power.
Yeah, the people behind Netflix are probably some of the smartest people in the TV business right now. They really capitalize on the whole binge watching and putting a show online before anyone else really did. Now you have Hulu and other websites doing things like that, and you can really see how normal cable TV is kind of suffering from it.
I mean, that is true. I've been looking at trends, and trends say that, the days of like cable TV and, Fios and Comcast, they're going to have problems because, I know PlayStation's looking to get into the TV business. I'm sure Xbox won't be far behind. You have Amazon, you have Hulu, you have Netflix, and you just have all these shows that are going on these contracts where they can just sign up with any one of these networks any one of these websites really, and be able to show their show. And what is actually, it's kind of changing the way TV is being produced, because shows that used to be canceled within like a week or two are now being canceled, maybe after 2 seasons, because, well, if we give you 44 episodes instead of 22, we can probably make more money off of it.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like because of Netflix and all these other websites, it's really putting pressure on producers as well to produce really great content.
Definitely, I agree. I mean, I feel like a lot of the Netflix shows are some of the best shows that we have on television right now.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's kind of like HBO. They have a lot easier time to make these shows. They don't have to worry about, they don't have to worry about censors and cursing and nudity and all that stuff. They're allowed to get away with a heck of a lot more.
Well, they're allowed to get away with a lot, but it would also, I mean, like I said, they create great shows, and while other networks have to go through all these different boundaries, they're fighting harder to go through these boundaries because they want the viewers.
That's true, and we'll kind of have to see where these things develop. But we're going to kind of actually send it back to the front desk with me and her. Now, Erica, that was an interesting conversation, but next we're going to talk about some movies.
Sounds good to me.
Probably not, because we're talking about Cinderella, but we'll send it to us. And we're back to talk about some movies, guys, and Cinderella this weekend and last weekend was the #1 movie at the box office, and it's kind of like a remake, which kind of brought up a topic we were all discussing off camera, which about remakes. Technically Cinderella is a remake of the 300 other versions of Cinderella. And the thing is, with these shows these movies kind of being remade multiple times, this is becoming a trend in Hollywood where they take movies that were popular at some point in time and remade them. And I thought it'd be kind of funny to talk about our favorite remakes and least favorite. So, Erica, why don't you tell me yours?
Okay, so I have not seen the new Cinderella movie, and I do agree with you that I feel like Cinderella has been remade so many different times. I mean, same plot, just I guess different actors and like different time periods. Mm-hmm. I am excited to see this one though, because Disney has been on a roll with making like the cartoon versions into live action, and a lot of them have been really good. My favorite, I guess, remake in that genre would have to be Maleficent. I loved Sleeping Beauty, and I really liked how they didn't take Sleeping Beauty's perspective, they took the Queen's perspective. So I thought that was really interesting.
Do you have a least favorite?
I don't think I have a least favorite. I guess we were talking about The Parent Trap off camera, and I love the Lindsay Lohan version. And then when I saw the original version, it was kind of like, But I mean, when you think about what they had to do to accomplish what they did in that time period, like it really was a great movie.
That's very true. And now, Courtney, what are some of your favorites and least favorites remakes?
If we're talking about fairy tale, Cinderella-esque things, one of my favorite movies growing up was A Cinderella Story, which was a take on the tale but modernized, starring Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray. Basically, it kind of took the whole Cinderella tale and put it in high school. And growing up, I loved Hilary Duff, so it was kind of a big deal for me in terms of that. I also, in terms of like least favorite remake, if we're, again, Cinderella, the movie Ella Enchanted, which is another take on the Cinderella tale, has Anne Hathaway in it. It's a fun movie. It's really goofy, but not that great.
Now let me man this segment up because clearly we didn't get it. So my favorite, I would have to say, is either Scarface, which is actually technically a remake. I know most people don't know that. It's based off a 1930s movie. It's just the descent of, in the first movie it's an Italian, and in the second movie it's a Hispanic actor, even though he's played by an Italian. But that's semantics. My other favorite would be The Ring, which is the horror movie where the video plays and you have 7 days, and that was actually it's based off a Japanese horror film, and it's actually a very well done retelling of another foreign film, which doesn't happen often because usually that happens, they're just god awful. But The Ring was very good at they created this whole concept around the backstory with the family and the girl. That was all created here in the U.S., but the whole story was taken out of another movie in Japan. My least favorite would probably be, without really thinking about it, basically any Tim Burton remake is awful. Alice in Wonderland.
I was going to say that too.
Oh, that's so bad. The lead actress is looking at a rock. There's nothing interesting about her. She has no charisma. And then they changed the name of the world. It's not Wonderland. It's Wonderland.
Underland, I think.
Yeah, it's Underland.
Yeah.
It's something stupid. It's just stop, Tim Burton. Stop.
They didn't even really remake that one. They kind of just created their own storyline.
Yeah, they created a sequel in a way.
Yeah, it was, it wasn't Alice as a little girl. It was basically Alice about to, get engaged, and she sort of ran away.
But then you also have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with that little blank sheet of a kid who couldn't act at all. It was just
Yeah, I take it back. My least favorite remake is definitely Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Do you want to have nightmares? Watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say Johnny Depp was acting very strange, but let's just say him and Michael Jackson had a lot in common in that movie. Now, you can take that as any way you want, but the fact is that movie is just very bad. Those are probably my least favorite, but just in terms of remakes, if you're going to do them, I don't know why I don't really remake films that bomb. Remake films that didn't do well that could be fixed, not movies that did really well that can't really be topped, because then you're just trying to hit a bar you're not going to hit. It's, it's like life. Aim low and try to jump over that bar. But since you guys are quiet and I have to get to class, I think it's time to close up the show.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Anyway, Dylan, if you're watching this,
Feel
for
better.
shame.
Yeah, feel better soon. Don't
Feel
listen,
better.
Feel better.
This is a show you can't skip. We will see you next week.